If you're still upset about yesterday's Bears loss to the Browns, hit that like button. Like it if you're upset. Kind of an oxymoron there, but just a theme with this team. Fourth quarter collapses, so if you're still pissed off like I am, hit that like button. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. On today's show, we're going to take a look at some hot seat statuses for three key figures in this organization right now. And we're going to start with the quarterback, Justin Fields. Where do I think his hot seat status is if I had to guess? I think it's very warm. I don't think a final decision has been made, but I do think if the season had ended today, then they would likely be leaning toward a new quarterback. Now, we'll talk more about that here in just a second, but I do want to say this. There's a lot of people, me included with other games, because I don't get to watch every other game, that I go dive into box scores and you go like, oh, it doesn't look like this guy played great. This guy played really good. And sometimes that's not true. It's why you have to watch the games to give full evaluations. This stat line for Justin Fields, 19 of 40, $166, touchdown and 2 picks, is one of the most misleading stat lines I've ever seen. Now, and I'll talk about this in a minute, that does not mean he played great, but he did not play as poorly as the stat line would suggest. Here are a couple reasons why. Well, Robert Tonyan dropped what likely would have been a 73-yard touchdown. At worst, it would have been a 50-plus yard gain, but to me, he had the angle to run away from that safety and score. Just a massive play in this game. Both interceptions were on Hail Marys at the end of each half. The first one, by the way, was not intercepted. It bounced off the turf. I expect that to get corrected by the NFL stat corrections, which usually take place on Tuesday or Wednesday, which could impact a lot of fantasy football playoff matchups, by the way, so stay tuned for that. Other notable drops, not even the Darnell Mooney dropped Hail Mary, the second one there. That got picked off, of course. Tyler Scott had one. There were a couple other during the game as well. I'm not saying it would have been an awesome stat line, but it could have been like 22 of 39 for like 275 and 2 touchdowns with no interceptions. That's a lot better than 19 of 40 with 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, is it not? Again, to be clear, Justin was up and down. I don't think he played great by any means, but this was a tough day for the offensive line. The receivers did not help him out. Yesterday looked a lot like what we saw last year, where you're just like, oh my God, there is just not enough help around him. This year, it hasn't been great around him, but it's certainly been better, right? Like DJ Moore's been an awesome addition, but hey, he was beat up with that ankle injury yesterday, so he had limited ability to majorly impact the game, and so when you need other guys to step up, they were unable to do so against a good defense. So now you look at the overall numbers this year, it's like, okay, it's improved. It's still not great, and again, 2 of those interceptions being on Hail Marys and a touchdown being dropped. I mean, 15 versus 6 looks a lot better to 14 to 8. I do think one of those picks will get reversed on the stat corrections, but regardless, this is where things sit right now. And again, the quarterback conversation is an interesting one because the Bears are in line to potentially get the number 1 pick. Now, that got a little muddy yesterday because Carolina won a game, and so now they're up to 2 wins. Patriots and Cardinals still sitting there with 3 wins. Bears play the Cardinals this week, so that's kind of an interesting situation in terms of the tank standings as well. The point being is this Fields decision is layered. I think it's very warm because while he has improved, I just think the opportunity in Ryan Poles' hands, if I'm putting myself in his shoes to get the number 1 pick for a second straight year, it would probably take a lot for him to not draft a quarterback. But again, that comes down to his evaluations of Caleb Williams and Drake May. He has improved, Justin has. The offense does need more pieces. That was very clear yesterday. The offensive line, not a complete product. Receivers after DJ Moore, not very good if we're being completely honest. But again, there is appeal to restarting the quarterback clock if you have good evaluations of Caleb Williams and or Drake May, assuming the Bears do get a top 2 pick, whereas getting the number 1 pick, the percentages are still very much in your favor. It's like 85%. Top 2 picks like 96%. So there's almost no chance you fall out of the QB sweepstakes if that is what the Bears decide to do. So make your prediction. Will the Bears trade Justin Fields this offseason? So obviously if they draft a quarterback, they're going to trade Fields. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I will give you my prediction after this YouTube ad break. So will the Bears trade Justin this offseason? Y for yes, in for no. Pin comment after this ad break. I'll give you my prediction. With 3 weeks left to go in the season, and I could change my prediction on this, I do think Poles will draft a quarterback and move on from Justin. Just where I think this is heading. Again, I have not given my final decision on what I would do. I've told you guys for weeks I will not do that until the regular season is over, so I hold the right to wait until then. But what I predict Brian Poles will do, I do think he will draft a quarterback and make a change there 3 weeks from now. He may not trade him right when the season ends, but you know what I'm saying. This offseason, I do think it's trending in that direction. All right, let's keep the hot seat status discussion going. Let's go to Luke Getsy now. It's got to be Scalding, right? Like, I'll be honest, I'm not going to call it a joke that he's still employed this morning, but he probably should have been fired. I mean, it was a bad display for Luke Getsy yesterday. Like, yesterday was a great opportunity against a good defense to put on some good tape if you're Luke Getsy. Call good plays at the right times and things that make sense. That did not happen. He got exposed. He does not counter adjust well, and I'll tell you why here in just a few moments, why Getsy should have been fired this morning. But first, I do want to tell you guys about our sponsor today. That is Marine Layer. It is official. I have found my new favorite clothing brand. It is Marine Layer. Their stuff is so soft, it's absurd. It makes for a perfect gift, all thanks to Marine Layer. And guys, today is the last day to order from Marine Layer and still get your clothes from them before Christmas. So if you want to do some last-minute Christmas shopping from Marine Layer, today is the day. Of course, you could order the next couple of days, and it'll come in a little after Christmas. You could always just play the, wow, the mail takes too long game with your family. But I encourage you guys to get going today. All of your holiday shopping can be done with Marine Layer. That is what I've done. I've gotten my wife, my son, some clothes for the rest of winter and the upcoming spring as well. I am excited about it. MarineLayer.com/chatsports. I'm rocking the Asher print sweater button down in blue geo, but I've added some other stuff from Marine Layer this holiday season as well. Get 15% off right now at MarineLayer.com/chatsports. That is MarineLayer.com/chatsports. I think we can all admit shopping for the holidays can be difficult. Not anymore. Not with Marine Layer. MarineLayer.com/chatsports. Get you 15% off. Get started today. They've got their winter archive collection as well. Perfect time of year for that. MarineLayer.com/chatsports. Link in the comments and in the description for 15% off. Let's talk about Luke Getsy's shortcomings. Number one, how about wasting the offseason and the entire first month of the season trying to make him a pocket quarterback? Yes, does Justin Fields need to improve from the pocket? Of course. Those are things you should work on. But they called virtually nothing the first month of the season to play to his strengths. Ridiculous. And we saw it last year, too. They had to adjust. Situational play calling sucks. It's been a problem all year. That third bullet point there is a great example of it. They've been horrible in short yardage all year, which is inexcusable when you have the most mobile quarterback in the NFL who's 6'3", 225 pounds. You can't get under center and get a yard. I get it. Lucas Patrick sucks, but you should be able to get a yard in those situations. And really, we've seen this since week one. The opening drive of the season, 4th and 1 at your own 40, not even a full yard. You try the cringy, cute tight end, goes in motion, takes the sneak, and gets stuffed with Cole Kmet. And from then on out, he has not known what to do in short yardage. We saw it yesterday. Oh, let's run a bootleg with the play quarterback, which, yeah, you don't expect Justin Fields to not pick that up. That diving trip-up play by the defender was a nice play, and yes, Mooney should have blocked him. So sure, you could say it could have worked, and fine, but it's almost like, why do you have to get that cute? And then you get even cuter on 3rd and 1 later in the fourth quarter when you run a jet sweep to the short side of the field with 180-pound receiver Tyler Scott. Like, what are you doing, Luke Getsy? And I've said this part for weeks. His plan A's usually are decent. His scripts are usually pretty good to open games, although it wasn't yesterday. He usually has some stuff early in these games that makes sense, but once defenses adjust to it, good coordinators have another tool or tools in the toolbox to counter adjust. Getsy more often than not does not. In most cases this year, especially on the road, he cannot counter adjust, and especially against competent defenses, Minnesota, Cleveland. Like, yeah, you could sit there and say, well, that's a tough defense. Well, guess what, man? If you want to be a good team, You have to hold your own against those teams. I didn't expect the Bears to put up 30 points yesterday, but 10 offensive points, 7 of which came off of an interception to the 1-yard line. And oh, by the way, it took about 5 plays and 3 defensive penalties to punch that one in. It still took a miracle play from Justin Fields to do it. 8 3-and-outs, only 3 real offensive points, if we're being honest. Eddie Jackson, again, giving you 7 of those with the pick to the 1-yard line. It's just not good enough, man. When he goes up against a good defense and defensive coordinator, he gets exposed. So one thing I know for sure, I don't care who the quarterback is next year. Luke Getsy can't be the offensive coordinator. If you want to bring Justin Fields back, you got to ship Getsy out. If you think moving on from Getsy means you have to get a new quarterback, I'm fine with that as well. I would rather lose Justin Fields if that also meant losing Luke Getsy. Like, that's how much I am out on Luke Getsy at this point in time. You're telling me you would trust him to develop a rookie quarterback? Are you out of your mind? No way, no how. He's got to go regardless of what you decide to do at quarterback moving forward. If you're with me, if you want Luke Getsy fired, type me. And listen, I don't like talking about other adults' jobs and losing them and this and that. Luke Getsy's going to be fine, though. He can go back to Green Bay and be a quarterback's coach. Like, he will find employment, but he just cannot be this team's offensive coordinator moving forward. And quite frankly, it's kind of a joke he's still employed right now. Subscribe and join us this afternoon. We're going to be live 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central Time here on Chicago Bears Now. We'll talk more about all 3 of these guys and just where this team is trending right now at 5-9 on the season. So don't miss out here on Bears Now. We appreciate it. We'll be live roughly around 4 o'clock Central Time later this afternoon. Daily videos here on the channel, live every Monday, Thursday, and game day, including this afternoon. We'll see you then. Okay, keep it rolling here. Matt Eberflus. I actually think his hot seat is the least hot out of these 3, but I'm still going to put it in the warm category. And again, I'm basing this how I'm reading the situation. This is not necessarily just my hot seat stats. I really do think Luke Getsy's seat has got to be Scalding. Like, I'd be shocked if it wasn't. Matt Eberflus has got to be warm, though. I would still like to upgrade. Let me make that clear. Matt Eberflus still, in my eyes, has not been a very good head coach here. Hasn't improved, yes, we'll talk about that, but I would absolutely like to upgrade. Like, if you can run back channels and figure out you can get Jim Harbaugh, you should absolutely do that. Because, look at the tenure, 8-22, lowest win percentage of any coach in this franchise's history. Hell, take last year out, 3-14. You're still 5-8 this year. Like, to me, that's not good enough, especially when you consider the way you've lost some of these games. You're 2-9 in the division. 4 blown 10-point or more fourth-quarter leads, including 3 this year. So, again, you're 5-8 this year. 5-9 this year, excuse me. And you've blown 3 10-point or more leads in the fourth quarter. You win even just 2 of those, just 1 collapse. You're 7-7 with 3 weeks to go, right in the middle of the playoff picture. But you've blown 3 of them, 4 in your total tenure, because they blew a Detroit game last year where they were up 24-10 in the fourth quarter, lost 31-30. The ones this year, though, they're just, this is not normal stuff, man. Week 4, you're up 28-7 late in the third. So Denver scored late in the third to make it 28-14, but still a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. Blew that game, lost 31-28. Week 11, 26-14 with 4:15 left, and you can't win. That's unbelievable. Week 15, yesterday, 17-7 with 12:30 left in the fourth. I get that's a lot of time, but considering the weather conditions, how the defense had been playing, you're playing Joe Flacco, that's a game you should not have lost. So you look at all this, and you could say, yeah, are the Bears improved? Yeah, they're improved. They're in more of these games. They have 2 more wins than they had last year. But I would make a strong argument that they have underachieved this year. Like, look, if they finish 7-10 or 8-9, you could sit there and say, well, isn't that about what we thought? Okay, sure, fine. But how many of us had 3 10-point or more fourth-quarter leads blown on the bingo card? That's underachievement. That's coaching. Like, you can't keep losing these games that you have complete control of. Could it happen once in a season? Like, yeah, it's the NFL. It's sport. Weird things happen. 3 times, though? That's a theme, guys. That is a theme within the course of a season. And to me, like, Flus is not, like, innocent of that. Do I think he's been a better overall coach than Luke Getsy? Yes, but he's the head coach. He's not shielded from the offense. Like, he can get in Getsy's ear on 4th and 1, say, hey, let's not run something cute here. Let's just run QB power, QB sneak. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And then this is also not great for Flus. So 3rd and 15 yesterday, the David Njoku first down, which pretty much puts the game away. Justin Jones was asked about it because he was asked to drop into coverage there. He said, I'm just doing what the play call is. Maybe I could have seen what he was doing, talking about Njoku. Maybe I probably could have got back a little more. I don't know. Probably play his low hip in that route. Maybe got a PBU. I could have got a little deeper in my drop, sat under it or something. It's not what I practice. That stands out to me. It's not what I practice. Number one, and yeah, I got people going on me on Twitter. This is a fairly common blitz where sometimes it's a kind of a stunt where defensive tackle dropbacks. I'm aware of that. I know there are rare instances where defensive linemen drop into coverage. You bring a safety blitz, and you're trying to confuse the quarterback, make them get the ball out quick. Here's the risk, though. If the quarterback's able to drift or if the blitz is able to get picked up, you've got a mismatch. You've got a defensive tackle on a very athletic tight end. You cannot make that call in that situation. You just can't do it. And he did, and he got burned, and it's not what I practice. Well, the head coach, what is he always preaching? Fundamentals. Well, they don't practice that fundamental. Justin Jones just told us, yeah, I don't practice on my drop. I don't practice playing coverage. Why? Well, he's an unathletic defensive tackle. He's not expected to drop into coverage very often. So on the biggest play of the game and arguably the season, you make that call. So yes, the defense is playing a lot better, and it's a pretty damn good group at this point. Yes, this team is better. But this bar is so low. Like how low can the bar get set, guys? Like, if you can upgrade at head coach, you should absolutely do it. Like, what have you seen from Flus that you just feel like you have to keep him? I'm scared the defense is going to suck if they move on. I'm not. The pieces are in place. You've got a very young and talented secondary. You've got a defensive front led by Montez Sweat coming on. Is he just going to fall apart if you have a new defensive coach? I don't think so. So what would you do with Matt Eberflus? Type F for fire or K for keep. I would probably try to upgrade, man. I would. I'm not saying, like, I wouldn't consider keeping him, but to just sit here and act like because minor improvements have taken place and they've won 2 more games than last year, like, that's such a low bar, guys. Like, we can do better than this. We should demand better than this. So F for fire, K for keep. Let me know what you guys think. And again, subscribe to the channel. We'll be live here in a few hours, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central Time. We'll continue the conversation then. So hit that sub button and join us. My name is Harrison Graham. Bear down.